Hey guys, thanks for joining us here on Marketing Cheat Guides. Today I have on the show John Shea. He is a Udemy course creator. He's had a tremendous amount of success actually building an audience on Udemy. I thought that would be an interesting kind of topic for us to cover today on the show. John, thanks for joining us today on the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this industry?
Hey, thanks for having me. I thought I'd I guess I could give you a little bit of a breakdown. About 6 years ago, I was actually following someone in kind of the multi-level marketing niche. They started talking about blogging and making money online, and that really intrigued me. I had been kind of learning how to build my own website to market myself when it came to multi-level marketing, and that was kind of like my start into internet marketing. And eventually started my own podcast. I did that for a couple of years. I interviewed a lot of people. Had a lot of good relationships I built from that, so I don't regret that. But at the same time, I was having trouble kind of monetizing it the way I wanted it to. And one of the people I partnered with, we basically started doing some SEO stuff. And while I kind of was playing around with the podcasting, I started teaching a podcasting course. I teamed up with someone. We taught an SEO course about doing some arbitrage. And we had actually, this was kind of like one of my first Udemy courses was, he had launched on the Warrior Forum, still something that goes on every day, but he had put a course out there. I really liked the course, but the presentation of it wasn't that great. Like it was all these like mixed up text files, and the videos weren't really like the best delivery. It was just the back end of it didn't look all that professional.
Sure.
And I was like, why don't we redo this and put it in a membership site? So we did that, and it was kind of crickets, right? Like we had spent all this time rebuilding it, and it really came down to the marketing, right? And both of us weren't that great at it. So we, I said, hey, why don't we put it on Udemy? And Udemy had this capability where you could split any payments that came through. They would just automatically go to both of you.
Oh, okay.
And so it was kind of a cool little way, like, for me to get started there. And I had been also playing around a little bit, following a lot of people who are doing Amazon niche sites where they build maybe they build a site all about gardening or something, and they make money referring people to Amazon, and they consistently bring in passive income from that. So I was intrigued, and I had spent a good amount of time building out this site, and it was making a little bit of money. So I had kind of a light bulb go off. I was playing with Udemy. I was making a little bit of money, like $50, $100 a month. And I said, one day I was sitting at my desk job, and I was like, man, why don't I make a course about how I built this site? And I was having some success with it. I'm sure some people would love to go build a site, even if it's making only a couple $100 a month. I know other people would love to do that too. So I cranked out in a weekend. I basically just did the whole syllabus in like a day. I kind of planned out, okay, here's what I'm going to teach. I made it like a week by week process. And then that weekend, I actually went and recorded the whole thing. I didn't do anything super professional. I didn't do like crazy lighting or wear a suit or anything. I literally was just wearing a hoodie, and I just cranked it out. And I put that out there in November of 2014. And that month, Udemy did their big Black Friday like sales push.
Sure.
And I managed to make like $900, which at the time was really exciting because I didn't have to do the marketing, and I kind of got hooked on that because that was like always my struggle.
Sure.
And I said, hey, why don't I just keep doing this? So I just continued making more courses. On the side, I would kind of do some stuff with web design and SEO and work with clients. So I turned that into a course as well about how I landed those clients and was able to do that. I kind of figured, same idea, right? Like if I could teach someone for, if they paid it for $100 for a course or $200 for a course, and I could turn around and teach them to get a web design client for $500, that's worth it to them.
Sure.
So that was kind of how I looked at courses. I didn't feel like I had to be some huge guru that was making millions of dollars or anything like that. I just knew that if I had done it and I had some success with it, I could teach that to someone else. And it's kind of like if you've ever seen that book, or I don't know if it was a book, but rather a movie, Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio.
One chapter ahead.
Yeah, he's just like one chapter ahead. And that's kind of really all it is, right? A lot of people think, oh, well, I can't really teach people. But even my wife, she says, oh, I'm not good at anything. But I'm like, well, you're really good at cooking. Like, that's what you do for your day job. And we taught a course and put that out on another platform. And she ended up making a few $100s from it.
Awesome.
And it was like this baking course. We made like a dessert or something. And it's just stuff like that that I thought was really cool. So that's why I got more into teaching. And as of today, I've got over 75,000 students on Udemy. I teach on my own site. I've got a teachable platform where people can find my courses there as well. And then I've got it on a few other platforms out there where I make some sales here and there, Skillshare. I sell some bundles on some other sites where they can buy like a bunch of courses at once. And yeah, it's worked out pretty well. I'm now trying to like move more towards selling on my own and doing webinars and doing joint ventures with people, things like that, where I can really scale and not let Udemy necessarily take a small amount of money for stuff I really want to be getting more money for, if you know what I mean.
Sure. So when you first started getting onto Udemy, I mean, I've taken a look at your page. You have, like you said, the 75,000 followers on there, or students that have gone through it. What were some of the earlier challenges when you first started to create content and put it out onto Udemy? A lot of people are earlier in their journey than you are in terms of trying to create that first 100, that first 500, that first $1,000 online. Udemy seems like a nice platform because it alleviates one of the issues. They already have people obviously flowing through that website. So what were some of the challenges in terms of pulling together a course, or is it fairly easy and intuitive to post content to the site?
I mean, getting stuff up there is fairly easy. They do have a fairly elaborate like review process. So they do want you to be on camera, talking head, kind of like what we're doing now.
Yep.
They will criticize a little bit over lighting and things like that and audio quality. So, some of that stuff isn't up to snuff, then, you will probably get rejected. They want things to be like very regulated within their rules. You can't really be like trying to push your own stuff and promoting other things. You don't collect the email addresses of those students, so it is a little bit of a, you're kind of at their wits' end, like, to sort of fall within their guidelines, and that's
Are you allowed to include any content upgrades within the course, i.e. like a lead magnet within the course that says, hey, if you want my template for this, go here? Or
you can actually, technically, like the best way to do this is they have a bonus section that's at the end of the course, and that's where you could say like, hey, go grab my my bonus for this.
Gotcha.
I actually, I just do like a general one that I use in most of my courses where I push people to like a free course on how to get started freelancing on Upwork.
Gotcha.
And that's definitely generated some leads for sure. And the other thing I've managed to do is that's a good way, like if you're doing free content, it's a good way to build your student following there fairly quickly. And then that's also a good way to throw that lead magnet in there and, generally get some eyeballs on your stuff without, spending lots of money on paid traffic and things like that.
I mean, certainly for those of us that are on the hunt to cultivate a list, I mean, you have real money that's being spent to grab real email addresses. So this may be a nice alternative for people that are just starting out in terms of creating content, getting that first exposure, putting it out on a platform that has a flow of traffic going through it, pushing them to that bonus section and capturing email addresses. I mean, while you're not necessarily making any money on that free content in the front end, it's filling people into your funnel for sure, it seems.
Yeah, no, it is working. You could potentially, like, let's say I have an SEO course where I talk about like doing SEO audits. Within that course, I could talk about a specific tool and maybe do a link inside that lecture, which is technically an affiliate link. So I have actually made some sales doing that as well. I even made a course about how I did that and kind of outlined that whole strategy, because you could do free courses and talk about, different things. If the free course is actually really resourceful, then people will come back to you or reach out to you. One example, I'll just give an example of this. So ClickFunnels is a really popular platform. Mm-hmm. So I made a free ClickFunnels course.
Yep.
That now has like 150 reviews and thousands of students. And I have my ClickFunnels affiliate link in there.
Yep.
So people may potentially, if they go and sign up, they've never heard of the platform. Sure. Now I'm going to get commission or trial signups from people checking it out.
Yep.
And at the same time, that kind of opens up opportunities. I just had a fitness company, for example, approach me and say, hey, we'd love for you to like come work with us to build the funnel because we watched your videos and we love what you're doing, or we like your style. So it's cool stuff like that. Like Udemy has kind of branched off and opened up opportunities because of the exposure that it gets you in that way.
That's a fantastic idea. I mean, I suppose that, again, for people watching this, I'm trying to think about ways that they would be able to apply this to their business. But if you're niched down in a specific niche and you were creating some kind of content around that, putting it on Udemy. I assume Udemy must have good organic reach in terms of people looking for content. Their courses must show up.
Yeah, I mean, they actually have a tool now. You can go and kind of see like what people are searching for, what's kind of in demand in terms of course topics. I've generally, I guess, I was a huge believer in it years ago where I was like, man, I'm just going to put all my eggs into this thing and make this work. I would say the advantages are that I've been able to utilize that same content on other platforms, but some of the disadvantages are obviously that you're less in control, and they definitely really diminish the value of a lot of your courses. So for some people that maybe want to put a premium course out there that, some guys charge $500, $1,000 plus for these courses, Udemy wouldn't be a great, alternative to say, okay, I'm going to put my course there if it's that really high-end course. I actually took a course that I wanted to be like that premium level, and I was struggling to market it. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to throw it on Udemy. And I think it's done over $10,000 in sales. So I don't regret that.
Sure.
But in some ways, I'm now kind of like, I'd really like to put more energy into that higher price point and be able to get people buying it for that $200, $300, $400, $500 plus, and feeling like, people are going to take it a lot more seriously when they spend that much more money on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to look at a platform like Udemy, you really need to look at it from the perspective of it top of funnel, where you're really cultivating a list of potential buyers that, a certain amount of them are going to filter through to your higher level courses, but it gives them that ability to really try your content, see if they resonate with you as a coach or a teacher, and then ultimately push them to that bonus section. And that bonus section is how you would probably push them up. So, I mean, it seems like it has a lot of value, but certainly I wouldn't think that pushing your highest end content there or serving people at the highest level, that would be the place where you'd want to host it. But it's not a platform I've ever played on, but it sounds really interesting and maybe something I should be looking into in terms of top of funnel, because it does have quite the following. I mean, if you're able to build 75,000 people watching your course, that's a lot of exposure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you do have some broadcasting capabilities. You can send out 2 promotional emails, which are internal, so you can only send Udemy-based links. Yep. But they do have kind of a educational broadcast. You can do up to 4 times a month to all of your courses. And you could do like, hey, I'm doing a YouTube live, and you can invite everybody to come join you. And I've seen people do that, and they'll, promote their Udemy courses, things like that. So that's something I haven't actually taken as much advantage of as of lately. But I did do a survey once. I was able to collect like hundreds of responses from people to get an idea of like what people are looking for in a particular thing. Like I did an SEO survey, for example, to figure out, okay, like, where are your pain points and what are things that, you're really struggling with? And that really helped me craft like a sales page for selling my course even better. So it's stuff like that, there are ways you can use it to your advantage. I just wouldn't look at it as like, okay, I'm going to, put everything into this, focus more on the marketing of your bigger stuff outside of Udemy and your own platform. So you have a little more control of the real high numbers kind of stuff.
In terms of building an audience on there, do you have any experience that you can share in terms of when you put out a course on there? Do they do the marketing for you? Is it about search engine optimization within the platform? Or is it about creating a course with a title that has frequent searches within Google and then trying to capture some of that search traffic based on the power of their URL?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I have seen some of my more popular courses, they do get picked up in Google. So you can use that to your advantage because of the authority of the Udemy domain. And then again, at the same time, it's the same thing, the internal search, people probably typing in similar things. And then you've also got, of course, they run a lot of like retargeting through Facebook on those courses. And then they'll do a lot of their own internal, send out a big blast email to a bunch of people, and that'll get a lot more attention on your courses. But yeah, they typically, I think, just really push paid traffic very heavily during like months of November. And I've seen pretty good results in January. So hopefully this coming month is going to be exciting. December is always a low month. Like that December 2014, I went to from 900 and like the next month I made $4. So it's really odd, how some of that works. But again, you can't 100% rely on, Udemy to do everything for you. Sure. I've just decided that instead of putting all my time into marketing my Udemy stuff, I'd rather put more time into marketing my stuff where I can sell at that higher price point, and doing sales funnels and email marketing, all that other stuff you can do there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as your business evolves, I mean, you get better at your craft. As you get better at your craft, you want to move up that pay scale. It makes complete sense. So at this point, are you putting any energy or focus into creating new content? You mentioned that you and your wife put out content based on a baking, a dessert. Is this something that is a strategy that people you think would be able to replicate in terms of going out there and looking for pieces of information that can be put into a short course, put on Udemy, and basically leverage that platform for, almost anything? Like you said, everybody's good at something, right? You said your wife's quite hard on herself in terms of what she's good at. I think a lot of us suffer from that in, either imposter syndrome or just being our own harshest critics. But we all have something we can bring to the table in terms of teaching people. And, like you were saying even earlier, in the eyes of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I mean, it really is that whole concept of, you're an expert at something compared to someone.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone that has a skill they feel like they could teach to others, that's something you could go out and, you could start teaching. With Udemy, they have a minimum requirement of about 30 minutes, which really isn't that long. You could put together 5 to 10 different short videos, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes long, and, that could be a course. And it could be an introduction to something much bigger. Like, if maybe you were good at cooking, you could make a bunch of short cooking classes, and then maybe that leads people to some sort of bonus opt-in. They get on your email list, come to your website, and then you throw like a big master class at them. Maybe it's got like 20 different courses all combined about, whatever your top recipes are. I don't know. You could do all kinds of different things.
Oh, but I mean, you could be really, really creative with this, I would imagine, right? I mean, you could become an affiliate for a product on a topic and do really an intro course to that topic and use the bonus and move them through it, right? Like, again, depending on where you are in your kind of your marketing career and what you're really capable of doing, some people aren't going to be ready today to build a $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 course, but they may have identified a $1,000 course that they've bought that makes a lot of sense, that has an affiliate link, and they can teach the intro course to that and kind of move them through that sequence. So looking back now, I mean, you've been doing this for how long? How long have you been working in marketing? 8, 9 years?
I guess about 5, 6 years.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned in your journey that maybe you could share with our audience? 3 things you wish you would have known 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I think the biggest thing in that I see the most is that the most successful people I see are really just super hyper focused, and they just do a little bit of something probably the focus would be the first. The second would just be being really consistent with whatever it is that you're focused on and just doing a little bit each day, right? You're not going to go out there and start a Shopify store and all of a sudden be making money like the next night unless you clearly know exactly what you're doing to make that happen. It's probably not going to happen like that. I think a lot of people out there make everything seem so easy. Like, you look at all the marketers and there's people trying to get your attention nonstop through ads and all these things, emails, and everything looks so easy on the surface. And I can tell you that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter what course you buy, everything takes time and effort and energy to learn and figure out. I used to think for a long time, I would see something and go, okay, this is really cool. I'm going to go do this next thing. And then I would start doing it. I wouldn't have success. I'd stop. I'd see something else and go, oh, well, I'd justify that this is better and this is going to work faster. And then I would literally repeat this pattern over and over. And I did this for years. And if you guys check out my blog, I actually wrote a really long, in-depth story. I saved every receipt for every course I bought, every program, every tool for the last 5 years. And I went back last year and I just kind of summed up everything I did, and I kind of remembered my last 5 years. Okay. And I broke it down by year, and I actually I show people the honest truth of how much I bounced around and how many different things I tried. And granted, some things were working. There were a lot of things that didn't work, and I think I had to go through a lot of that to realize that, ultimately what I settled on, I think for me, was teaching. That's kind of been my number one. But even still today, I struggle with that. Is is this really, making me enough money, or am I going to do well enough this month? And some months that doesn't happen. I had a month in October of 2016 where I did extremely well, and then things kind of, drop down again. And it's like you kind of have to pick yourself back up. So there's a lot of ups and downs. But I would say finding a combination of a passion, focusing on that, and then, doing it consistently just a little bit each day.
Awesome. So how do you divide your time in terms of major activities at this point? Now that you've identified that focus is key, passion is key, pick something and do a little bit towards it each day. Is it impacting the way you're dividing your time in your business today?
I'm still like improving on that. Like even just going into this month and next month, like I realized I hadn't been doing as much on like the fitness side of things, like working out. I hadn't done anything for months, and I was like, I need to get back on this. So like as of this week, I've been working out like 20, 30 minutes every morning.
Yep.
I've been trying to do some consistent things. I'll use like a productivity tool called Nosby, which is just a to-do list tool.
Okay.
And I basically just use that to kind of clarify, like, here are all the things I need to get done. Like one of the consistency things I did over the last month was answering Quora questions on the question and answer site Quora.
Yes.
So I said, hey, why don't I spend 30 minutes to an hour a day on that? And I've now answered over 200 questions, and I've racked up over like 30,000 views on my answers. Wow, so nice. It's kind of like, stuff that it took consistent effort to get there, right? Like I had to do that over a period of time. Sure. I couldn't just go answer for 3 days and then have that happen, unless something went viral, which is rare. So I've tried to figure out, what's the best way to utilize a lot of this, but it is the same thing, right? Like I've got to say, okay, here I've got to probably a little bit work more towards like a schedule. And that's something that I've been trying to implement more as I move into 2018.
Awesome. So I'm always curious as to what people are reading, what they're following, where they're hanging out online, where they're getting their information, inspiration. So who are some of the people that either you're following and or getting a lot of value from? Any groups, any books that you'd recommend?
I've been working with kind of like partner friends, someone by the name of Paul James. I think you may have even interviewed him recently.
Yes, I did a couple of days ago, yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned that, and I know we talked about him. So I've been working really closely with him, and he's someone that you could definitely follow. He's building really large YouTube channel, doing a lot of stuff with courses and webinars, and I've been following him pretty closely, and we're kind of friends talking all the time. Sure. So he's sort of a combination mentor and someone I follow.
Yep.
Some people I've been following for years are like Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income.
Yep.
Derek Halpern of Social Triggers.
Okay.
And some other people that I look up to are like David Siteman Garland of The Rise to the Top. He's kind of shifted from podcasting to teaching online courses. And I haven't been as involved with his stuff as of recently, but I'm a big fan of John Lee Dumas. I like kind of his mission and everything he stands for, what he's doing. And other than that, I'm mostly, as of the last year, been really focused on, selling just one of my courses and building kind of an automated system around that so I can, really build that into something much bigger. So awesome. That's kind of been my main thing as of the moment.
Fantastic. So what's something you spent $100 or $200 on in the last 30 or 60 days that you're enjoying?
I actually, right around Halloween, it'd be a little longer than 30 days, but I bought a legitimate, almost realistic lightsaber that has sound and it lights up. I did what they call a mystery box through this company. Forget the name of the company, but if you look up like lightsaber, anything, they'll come up. Yep. But they have this mystery box. You buy it for $200, and you could get something really amazing worth a lot more, or at least worth that $200 value. Yep. So I took a chance at that, and I got this really cool, silver with an orange lit up lightsaber. And unfortunately, didn't get to use it on Halloween, and I didn't go to the premiere of Star Wars. I was hoping to bring it to the premiere, but I didn't go till Saturday, and we went at noontime at lunch. Yep. So I was like, no one's going to be dressed up on the following. Really, in reality, it came out Thursday night.
Yeah, my nanny was lined up. She had her ticket for 30 days or 60 days in advance.
We got a matinee. We paid $6 for our tickets, and we bought them the day before or something. So it worked out pretty well.
That's great.
And then we went to a place they serve lunch too, so it worked out really well. But yeah, I was. That's probably one of the most random things I could think of. I bought that was kind of a fun toy,
Great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Guys, if you're still watching this, definitely hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment below. I'm happy to engage with you here on the channel. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be interviewing a ton of marketers, entrepreneurs, listening to their story, and hopefully benefiting from their experience to make your journey that much easier as you scale up your own business. John, thanks a lot for joining us today on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.